Hello, hello. This is me, Cindy B. And I am here today to share with you 5 things that you can do to be better prepared for death. Yep, I said it. The big D word. Because guess what? We're all going to die sometime. And at some time, we will probably have to deal with somebody else's death. Now, just recently, I had to deal with my mother's passing. And although I thought I had dealt with a lot of things, and I did, there were some things that really surprised me. So I put together my short list, and I'm going to share them with you so that hopefully it'll save you some agony. And when you run into this situation, whether it be with your grandparents or your parents, or just to save trouble for your offspring when that time should come. 1, get to work on getting rid of random things in your surroundings. Now, I don't know about you, but I do know that I have more random stuff than I know I have. I don't know what it is, but I think things breed in my house, where I think, yeah, I should keep a couple mailers because I'm going to reuse them and I end up with a dozen. Does that ever happen to you? Yeah. So reducing your own actual physical footprint. How much junk of your own can you get rid of without actually, missing anything is an amazing exercise because I found I had to get rid of my mother's stuff twice. Once when I moved her into an assisted living home, and then again when she passed away, and I had to move her I had to move her things out of the assisted living facility. And I was just shocked at how much stuff she had acquired in the year that she was there. It was shocking. So, anything you can do to get rid of literally just the junk you have, the stuff you have that you don't need, is number 1 a good thing because it's stuff you don't use and it's in your way. Get rid of it. 2, and this is no fun, but you should really think about having a will or a trust, especially if you're a parent. Okay. And you really should probably see a lawyer about that too. And there are different reasons to have the different documents, right? Your needs are going to be different. And don't wait on this. If you're thinking you might change your mind, that's fine. You can always revise it. You can always update it. But don't let that be an excuse to not have that document because you can leave a huge mess. And that happened in the case of one of my dear, dear friends. Her mother ended up having an illness over the period of months and months, and she was unaware that it was a terminal illness. And gosh, then by the time they realized what it was, she was incapacitated, and things were not taken care of, and the children were left with property, and it really tore the family apart. It was totally unnecessary. So see an attorney. If you don't have one, get a recommendation from your tax person, your financial advisor, or somebody you trust to make a recommendation on what document you actually need, because there are really good reasons to have one or the other or both of those documents in place to take care of your family legally, to take care of your assets legally, and to protect people from taxes, the tax burden legally. And it really depends on what you state you live in, etc., etc. 3, think about your children and your pets. What should happen to them in the event of a death? Who is going to take care of them? Make sure that somebody beside you has that information. Make sure that you have those contact numbers in somebody's hands. Make sure the people that you plan for them to take care of know that and agree to that to begin with. Otherwise, you certainly don't want your beloved pet going to a kill shelter, do you? I mean, I would be horrified if my animals ended up in a shelter. My animals would be horrified to end up in a shelter. So what I would recommend is in your phone, have an ICE contact, ICE, in case of an emergency. It's good practice to have an ICE contact anyway. So if you're incapacitated, the police can get into your phone and contact your in case of emergency person, and make sure your in case of emergency person knows who to go to in the event of something happening with you, especially if you have children and animals. Number 4, how are we going to deal with your remains? What's going to happen to your body? Are you going to be an organ donor? And keep in mind that just because you're an organ donor doesn't mean they're going to be able to use your organs. There are sometimes circumstances in which they cannot use your organs. And one of those times might be if you're elderly. I know both of my parents made provisions that their body was donated to medical science. As such, their bodies were collected and dispersed to medical schools for use by soon-to-be doctors. And I think that's a fabulous use for human remains. And then what was left, what was unused, was cremated and returned to me for ultimate disposal or dispersal. So think about how you're going to deal with the remains of your beloved or yourself. Have a backup plan in case that falls through. And keep in mind that when you make these backup plans, especially if you're donating your body, quite often there will be a preliminary form and a detailed medical assessment. I found out actually the day my mother died, in the morning I was talking with her social worker, and the social worker called me in the afternoon and said, "Oh my God, you have to talk to these people now." And I called him up, and my mother had never filled in a detailed history. And it's a good darn thing I called him back, because she ended up passing away that evening. And had that not been done, they would not have been able to accept her donation. So, but they did. They picked up her body within 2 hours of her passing. So that worked fabulously for us. And number 5, and oh my gosh, this is huge. And this is what took the longest amount of time: documents. I had no idea the documents that would be helpful to have in place. So if you can have them in advance, this is fabulous. Birth certificates, marriage licenses, service records, discharge papers. Yeah, I actually found out that in order to get a death certificate for my mother, I had to have my birth certificate so I could prove that I was related to her. I had no idea that you had to prove that I was related in order to get a copy of her death certificate, and I needed her death certificate in order to get her remains buried. It was fabulous, and I needed her death certificate in order to close her bank accounts. So documents, take care of your documents. And of course there are many, many, many other things, but those were the top 5 items that will make your life ever so much easier. And gosh darn, you can do those in advance. You can do those anytime. And you can do those for yourself. You can do those for your spouse. You can help other people around you if you might be outliving them. There are things you can help other people do too. So, have a great day and be fabulous.